Hi, my name is Tom Halford, and I'm going to start a craft and crime uh, video blog in which I talk about different things. This is the very first video, and I'm going to talk about character and dialogue. Really, this is going to be just sort of like an intro to dialogue. I'm looking at good examples of dialogue, and I'm doing this just after I had a discussion with some other Crooked Cat authors. Crooked Cat is the publisher of my novel Deli Meat, and I really learned a lot from all of them as we talked. So I guess that this is inspired as much by them as by my own reading interest. So here are some examples of good dialogue. In the crime genre, I think Elmore Leonard is one of the best known authors in relation to dialogue. Here's an example of the opening to Pronto. A character says, "I'm going to tell you something I've never told anyone before in my life." Joyce said, "You mean something you did when you were in the war?" It stopped him. "How did you know that?" "When you were in Italy and you shot the deserter?" So why is this good? I think it's good for a couple of different reasons. There's mystery in terms of the character doesn't know what's happening when he says he's going to reveal something and she knows already what it is. There's also this sense of irony and humor. There's internal conflict because the character says this thing that he's going to reveal, but he's confused about the fact that she already knows it, so he doesn't know when he revealed it, and maybe he was intoxicated. There's a great deal of information in this back and forth about their relationship, which also means there's a backstory and there's character development. So why is it good? It's good because, first of all, it's entertaining. It draws your attention in, but it does a lot of work in getting the motor started to this narrative. Here's an example from film. The Big Lebowski is one of my favorite movies, which fits within the crime genre. Here's an excerpt from The Big Lebowski.
Well, it's all water under the bridge. And we do enter the next round robin. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
Am I wrong?
You're not wrong, Walter. You're just an asshole.
Okay, then.
Why is this good? There's irony, obviously. There's conflict that's external. They're arguing. There's also internal conflict. You can see it on the dude's face. There's character development. There's humor. But I think most of all, there's rhythm. And it's a rhythm that sounds really natural. It feels like you're eavesdropping on a conversation. So to move from two good examples to a strategy that one writer a Canadian writer used to develop his own dialogue, and I think he's really successful in doing this. Notorious might be too strong of a word, but this was a really well-known thing, at least within the province of Newfoundland, and I'm sure within the Canadian literary scene, that Michael Winter would listen to other people's conversations. He would listen at bars. He would listen to his family. If you were walking down the street in St. John's, Newfoundland, you'd have to be careful if you saw him because he might take whatever you were saying and throw it into one of his novels. There was a downside to all of this. His brother threatened to punch him in the face, which is always a bad result to happen when you're trying to write something. You don't want people threatening to punch you in the face. In any case, I find that Michael Winter is a really excellent writer in terms of dialogue because he can write very naturally. It sounds like all of his characters are real people saying real things that people would say, but there's also a kind of profundity. So he doesn't just write down anything that he hears. He picks and chooses stuff that he hears from other people. I'm going to come back to Michael Winter in a second because I want to just do two quick slides on character development. This is from Alan Sillitoe's The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner. Now, to be fair, this isn't dialogue, but it's a voice piece, right? It feels as though he's speaking directly to the reader, and this is a short story. But I just wanted to pause on this and think about character development and then tie that to dialogue. So as soon as I got to Borstal, they made me a long-distance cross-country runner. I suppose they thought I was just the build for it because I was long and skinny for my age, and still am. And in any case, I didn't mind it much, to tell you the truth. because running had always been made much of in our family, especially running away from the police. So why is this good? Obviously, there's a sense of voice, there's a complicated humor and irony, there's internal and external conflict. But I think the big thing that is so great about this intro is that there's a really conflicted personal history and a complicated relationship that's revealed to his family, right? Normally, you would think that if someone is running, that their family would be proud of them because they're being athletic and they're being healthy. But for this narrator, the narrator of The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner, he's practiced at running because he comes from a family where many people have had to run from the police. So I feel like that really draws you in through the voice and through the sort of unexpected turn that the narrator takes very early in that story. So to go to dialogue and character development, and to go back to one of my favorite writers, Michael Winter, and The Architects Are Here. So how does he use dialogue to develop his characters? Here we go. We need new shirts, David said. If we're to go into the States, we need new shirts. All the old adventurers wore good shirts. Can't you, for a few minutes, think about what's just happened? He was looking at the scale in kilometers, about the time, refolding the Michelin map. We take the 87 south and cross over, he said. Europe, you know that. All Lars wanted was a bit of company. David took a moment to translate something in his head. Don't be responsible, he said, for any man's choices. That will lead you to ruin. Why is this good? And you'll notice that Michael Winter does his dialogue in a different way. He doesn't worry about certain punctuation. There's no quotation marks, for example. But I think that there's a bunch of different reasons why this example of dialogue is good. There's a sense of mystery between the two characters. There's something that's going to be revealed that you're not sure what it's going to be. There's a sense of tension that results from two different logics operating against each other. There's a ton of irony and humor. They're in conflict with each other. That's both internal and external. There's personal history and relationship information. All of that is happening in this short snippet of dialogue. I think the big thing to me that makes this dialogue so good is that it feels very realistic. It feels like this could be two things. It feels like this could be a real conversation that two guys are having, but is also very profound. And I think that when a writer can create something that is realistic, but also profound at the same time, I think that's a sign of a really talented writer of dialogue. Okay, to move from some super talented authors to me, I'm still working on my writing. I'm trying to get better, so I'm studying other writers. But I'm also thinking about how I've used some of these examples to improve my own writing. This is a very short example from Deli Meat where I focused on rhythm, and I think that this is really influenced by the Coen brothers. I hope I wasn't copying the Coen brothers, but I was really thinking about the way that they do dialogue and the way they would introduce a grotesque character. I will not be paying for this meal, he announced. Please and thank you. Sorry? I will not be paying for this meal. If I have to say that again, then that means you're being rude, sir, and I'll have to stab you with this fork. Please and thank you. So what I was basically trying to do here is I was trying to create a rhythm for this character. This is the first time he's introduced, and I was also trying to very quickly introduce how off-kilter this character is. His logic is wildly different from the way that most people would think about going into a deli and eating a meal. And I hope that for a reader, they're reading this and they're thinking, why is this person thinking in this way? I'll have to continue reading to figure that out. So that is my very first attempt at the Crime and Craft video blog with a focus on dialogue and with a focus on a few things that make dialogue strong. I'm going to keep working on these, and if I can think of another Crime and Craft video blog to make, I will definitely make it. If anyone is watching and they want me to work on something specifically, I will do that as well. Thanks for listening.